So boys, Ludidevo here with the race PvP tier list. So a little bit different than usual, but this hasn't been done in a long time. We have a lot of new races as well, a lot of things changed. So let's get to it. Now, what I want to say is we have 13 classes, over 35 specs, so we can't really say for every spec which race is the best because that will take for like 2 hours. So we're gonna generalize it more. So for example, in SS tier is gonna be like a race that's amazing on every single class in the game, right? S tier, again, great on almost every single class in the game. And then the lower we go, it's gonna get more niche and specific towards certain class, the race, right? So I'm gonna mention that when we talk about the race, but just so you guys know, okay? So don't be surprised. Of course, we're gonna be talking about, you know, using the racial ability or racial passes to the maximum, right? So let's go in the order. We ordered them Alliance to Horde, and let's get started with the human. So human in general, in the past, it's been amazing, right? But for a while, the pass is not that great, right? The stun removal, because it shares the cooldown with the PvP medallion. So the human will go into the A tier. The active is good, but it's not that great, honestly, anymore. But the secondary stat boost is pretty damn good, guys. Especially in the later seasons, okay? So Season 1, it's not gonna be that great, but Season 2 is gonna be good, and Season 3 is gonna be great, because we'll have more and more secondary stats. That's why we're gonna put it in A tier, even though active is just okay. For the active, if it was only active, it would be B tier. But the secondary stat boost is pretty nice, so we go to A tier. Now for the dwarf. Dwarf is good defensive option because of the stone form, right? Stone skin. 10% damage reduction. Crit to damage and healing, not bad, but not great either. Or healers, pretty useful, but for most DPS classes, it's not gonna be that great. Okay, we will have a better option, but definitely a solid choice overall, right? For any class you pick, it's just a solid choice. But for most classes, there will be a better option. Okay, then we get to the Night Elf. Now, some classes, it's almost a must pick. We're talking about stealth classes, Feral, Rogue. It's just so good. It gives you another stealth pretty much, right? You can meld into stealth or prowl, get a stun, get subterfuge, it doesn't really matter. So for those classes, it's insane. Okay. Now for the most classes, it's gonna be an S tier. But the Shadow Meld ability is so good if used to its peak performance. Now, for the average player, it's not going to be that crazy because it's hard to use. But especially, for example, this season is a bursty season, right? People die in burst. They don't really die outside the burst. And that's where Shadow Meld is insane. You can literally save your life. Okay? That's why it's going to be S tier. SS tier. You're going to die, you know, from Ascendance, boom, you Shadow Meld for a second, you're gone. It can save your life. Many things like that, right? You can dodge a Storm Bolt, you can dodge anything pretty much, any projectile, Chaos Bolt, whatever you want, right? So it's just so good. Plus you get 1% haste over the night, you know, movement speed, dodge chance, so many passes that are great for PvP. Stealth speed, like so many good passives. Okay, next, Gnome. Just overall very good race. 1 minute snare / root removal, insane, very low cooldown, that's why it's super useful for some classes, even S tier like warrior, especially in the frost mage meta, right? And since he doesn't have a root removal anymore, unfortunately, except that 1% haste, again, very nice. Arcane resistance, whatever, but the active is so good. And the passive 1% haste, also nice. So just in general, very strong on some classes, very meta, like warrior. Draenei, unfortunately, not great. Passive is okay. You get some primary stat bonus. Nothing crazy, unfortunately. Gift of Naru, a heal. Too long of a cooldown, 3 minutes. So if that was a lot shorter cooldown, maybe again a minute and a half, maybe we would bump it to B tier. But that's not the case. It's just use it once and you pretty much won't have it second time probably. So that's why we're putting it in C tier. It is what it is, okay? Worgen. Again, not great. I would say slightly worse than Draenei. Its active ability, movement speed, 4% movement speed, can come in very niche, could come in clutch. So not bad, but not great either, right? Passives are not that great. So probably better maybe in BGs rather than arenas, right? Okay. Now, the Void Elf. The Void Elf is really, really amazing, guys. Specifically for the casters, you get a teleport, right? You can juke one direction, teleport in the other direction. First thing. Second thing, spell cast delay removal. So you ignore, for example, you're playing a Deathstroke against the Beam Hunter. The pets hitting you will, your Chaos Bolt, for example, is 1.5 second cooldown. The pets hitting you will increase that 1.5 second cooldown to 1.8 second cooldown. And on Void Elf, you save that 0.3 second cast. That's huge. Imagine throughout the game how much cast time you save. It's very, very nice, right? Plus, you get random 5% damage proc on the abilities. Very, very juicy. Void Elf, in my opinion, probably the most underrated race in the game. I would even say better than Night Elf on some casters, okay? Light Forge Draenei. This is a Z tier. It's very bad. In PvP, it pretty much has no use. The active ability is kind of weak. Outside of that, holy damage reduction is pretty much useless. I mean, useful against Paladin or a Priest. You know, Holy Priest. But yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad, okay? Now, Dark Iron Dwarf. Again, amazing, amazing race. Borderline, the best one. Again, right? For certain classes. Fireblood, Racial, probably the best active, one of the best actives in the game. Removes pretty much all the debuffs and increases your primary stat a lot, even more than the Blood Fury from the Orc. Especially if you have a lot of debuffs on yourself. So it's just so good. Okay? That's the main thing of the Dark Iron. Plus, you get the 1% physical damage reduction, which is very nice against warriors, hunter, whatever, right? So, all in all, generally good class for everyone. What Elf is pretty much crazy for casters. Dark Iron is just good overall for everyone, like a Night Elf, okay? So, almost, I would say, an SS tier, but the Night Elf just has that edge on the Feral and on the Rogue that it just puts it on the next level, okay? Now, Cool Tyrann. Cool Tyrann is actually very, very decent, and I would say underrated in PvP. 1% versatility, plus it can increase to 2% when taking damage. Really good in PvP, right? Really good. Plus that Haymaker, actually pretty decent, right? You can make some nice plays with that. So I would definitely say B tier. Probably the highest B tier in my opinion. It's pretty decent, especially in BGs. It'd probably even be A tier. Okay. Mecha Gnome, I would say, is equal to Draenei. Pretty much very similar passive. You get a primary stat bonus increase the longer the fight goes on, right? So plus you get a passive heal once you drop low. So it's very, very similar to Draenei, okay? but that passive is so small that it's almost neglectable, right? Okay, so that's it for the alliance. Okay, then we'll be going through the horde and then neutral units. So I would say this is looking pretty damn good. Let's go to the horde. Orc, the OG. I would say Orc is S tier, especially this season because of the rogue meta. Okay, DR cooldown, let's call it, got reduced, so rogues can stun you more often, every 16 seconds. So you'll be, you'll be getting a lot from your passive, even though it's nerfed from 20 to 10% in PvP. You'll just, it's really good value in PvP, especially this season when it's rogue meta, right? So very nice. Plus Blood Fury is decent on all classes, right? And the pet damage, very good for pet classes like Unholy DK, BM, Demolock. So all in all, pretty good race, right? Forsaken, Undead. I would put it into A tier, specifically for the healers. Now for the DPS, honestly, it's not that great, probably a B tier. But for healers, for a lot of healers, it's gonna be best in slot, right? So for a lot of healers, Undead is very nice. Will of Forsaken, Fear Removal comes very good, especially specifically in Shuffle or even Trees, in healer against healer comps. Example, you're playing against another Priest. Priest versus Priest matchup. The Undead has huge edge above the other Priest, right? For example, you're playing a Holy Priest, he's playing Discipline, he chastises you into fear, and you can remove the fear and fear him back instantly. And the 30-second, delay between Trinket and Will of Forsaken fear removal. While on the human, it's like 1 minute 30, way longer cooldown, right? 90 seconds. So big difference. Very useful. Okay. Tarren is a good defensive option once again, but it's just a weaker version of the dwarf. It doesn't have an active, rather than it has a passive stamina buff, which is just okay. Nothing crazy. Outside of that, crit damage, 2% crit damage or healing, again, that's pretty weak, for a passive. You'd rather have 1% crit than this, right? And War Stomp, which is an active stun AoE, but unfortunately, stuns are pretty much the most often form of CC in the game. So DRing that for many classes will be a big negative, actually. So I would say high C tier, but way better options, especially defensive options, and even in Horde will have better defensive option than Tarren, okay? Now for the Troll. Actually comes in very useful for some classes this season when it's Frost Mage meta because of the nice passive which reduces the duration of movement impairment effects. Very useful. And also very powerful haste buff on the active. The only problem for PvP is it's too long of a cooldown. Okay, so that's what's holding back the Troll to be higher. Like, it's very strong, but it's too long of a cooldown. Okay, that's why it's B tier. If it was a 2-minute cooldown, it would be definitely A tier, and maybe if it was 1 minute 30, it would be maybe even an S tier. Okay, so really good, but too long of a cooldown. Blood Elf. We all remember Arcane Torrent. It was broken, it was busted when it was silencing. Unfortunately, now it's a purge. It can come in handy, so definitely it's gonna be a B tier. But Blood Elf is not what it used to be. Okay, it's still definitely decent. It has its place, but it is what it is. So a B tier overall. 1% crit also, not too bad. Now, Goblin. It's a meme, but it's actually not a meme. It's pretty decent. Funny looking, 1% haste, pretty juicy, but not only that, you get the rocket jump as well. So for some range classes like a hunter, 1% haste, a mobility tool, not too bad at all, right? So definitely a B tier. Also, it has a rocket launcher active, whatever, not really important. But these two things definitely make it a B tier, specifically for some range classes that like mobility. Okay, now Nightborn. Nightborn output into D tier. Okay, 1% increased magical damage. Not bad for casters, right? Has some use. I would say higher use than Lightforged Rhino. That's why I'm putting it into D category. But it has also a AoE slow explosion, which can come in nice. I don't know. You're playing a Frost Mage, you blink, AoE slow whole BG, like you're playing epic BG, it's a powerful AoE slow, big one, can be useful. So it's definitely more useful than Z tier. Like it has some use. It's not great, but it has some use. High Mountain Tarren, the best defensive option in the game. Pretty good for classes that are constantly tunneled. For example, Dersholok, Shadow Priest, stuff like that. If you don't want to have the more mobile and defensive option like a Void Elf, okay, this is a better defensive option because it has a passive damage reduction. It's small, but it's, it reduces every hit. So against some classes that have a lot of hits very often, for example, BM Hunter, a lot of pets, it's going to reduce all the pets damage by flat amount. Okay, against classes like, for example, Marksman Hunter, which is gonna hit you with a big aim shot, it's pretty much useless passive. So I think people are overrating the High Mountain Tower in current meta because it's burst meta, it's not consistent damage meta, right? So it's overrated. But in meta where it's dampening, long game, slow damage, very, very good. But in burst meta, not that good. But it's definitely still S tier. 1% versatility as well on top of that. Plus Bull Rush is okay. Movement ability. Not great, but okay. Maghar Orc. Maghar Orc is decent. It has strong active ability. Outside of that, not that great, right? For example, pet health. I mean, who cares, right? Pet health doesn't do much. Active ability boosts your highest secondary stat, which, for some classes is great. Example, DKers love secondary stat, but then again, you have better options, right? So it has its use, but we have better options, okay? Zandalari Troll, again, it has its use. It's very niche, but it's interesting. So if you play a Paladin, for example, Zandalari Troll, you can bubble and use your racial active, which pretty much heals you almost to full, 50%. So it's pretty decent. It's niche, especially it's good in, World PvP or something like that. So you can have fun with that. But, we have better options than that. Okay. Now Volpera, I mean, do we need to talk a lot here? It has active ability, which is just okay. Whatever. Passives are pretty much useless. So, and also it's a Volpera, Okay. Now, neutral races. Okay. Panda. Panda is actually very decent. Palm, Quaking Palm, very useful. 4-second in cap, crazy good, specifically for setup races, classes, sorry. For example, Frost Decay, you can in cap someone for 4 seconds, you can pull other people, boom, 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 you know, you do your go, you one-shot something. And Panda, Quaking Palm help you set it up. So very niche, but very useful, pretty cool. Okay, next, Drug Tier. Okay, Drug Tier is actually very, very good, and I would even say maybe best A tier we have. First, 1% mastery comes in handy for a lot of classes. Second thing, you have a knock. You know, it's definitely more useful than, for example, War Stomp. You can interrupt abilities, right? But it's not gonna DR, stun DR, which is also a plus. You can knock people off platforms, very good. And not only that, you have wings, you can jump and glide, so your movement speed is gonna be increased. So all in all, pretty solid race, I would definitely say. Okay. Earthen Dwarf. Garbage. Okay. I mean, come on guys. Like, let's not even discuss it. It's pretty bad. Like, it's pretty bad. Harnir, the newest race. It has an okay active ability. You get 1% crit damage and healing, so it has something, but it's not great. Okay, it has something. It's definitely better than these guys. So I would say in range with the other guys. Okay, so this is general tier list for, you know, all classes. Again, I specified for what classes some races would be good. Of course, if we went and broke down for every class which is the best race, it wouldn't be looking like this, it would be looking slightly different, but in general, these are the best races in the game, okay, in this order. And that's it. Hopefully this helped. If you enjoyed, drop the like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.